Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo and it's great to be on the show. We've got a special guest who has written an important book, The Military Wife. Abimbola Ogunbiyi is a wife of a military officer, a very experienced and distinguished one. And she has written this book, not just for military families or military wives, but for you and I, because we need to understand what it means to be a member of a military family, and especially to be the wife of a military personnel. This book blew my mind when I read it. It opened my eyes to the world of the military, and it helped me to appreciate much more what military families go through. We do owe them our gratitude. Well, let's get into this book. But before then, let's get to meet with Abimbola Ogunbiyi, our guest author for today.
Abimbola Ogunbiyi is an architect, project manager, and author. She's an alumnus of Ahmadu Bello University and University of Westminster, London. Abimbola Ogunbiyi has over 40 years' experience in the private, government, and foreign architectural sectors. She is the principal partner of Q Design Consultants Limited. Abimbola has been married for about 35 years to Major General Obashina Ogunbiyi, retired, MNI. She joins Channels Book Club to discuss her maiden book, The Military Wife.
Abimbola Ogunbiyi, nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
It's my pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, finally.
You are an architect, now
Yes.
you're an author.
I'm an architect and an author.
And an author now.
Yes,
How does that feel?
Well, it feels good. I mean, this has always been my dream, to write.
Yeah.
One of the regrets I have is that I did not write it before my father died. Because he saw the potential. You know how a dad knows his daughter, so he wanted me to write.
Yeah, yes. Wow. You know, that's a question I like to ask. I meet people, professionals, very successful in their fields, you know, and they always tell me, you know, writing a book, authoring a book is almost like a whole new ball game for them, experience, and they always find it very exciting.
It is so exciting. It's the best thing I've done in my life.
Oh, wow.
Write a book, wow. Finally.
Oh, wow,
yes.
Congratulations. And it is a very good and, more importantly, relevant book.
Oh, thank you.
Well done.
Coming from you, that's a compliment.
Well
Thank you.
So what's the story behind this? I know you've been married to your sweetheart for like almost 40 years, going to 35 years.
35.
About 35
yes.
years. And the experience you had over the period of time, being a military wife, inspired this. But I'm sure there might be one or two other things behind that story. What
I'll say is that the experience initially was not very good. It was not what I expected.
When you first got married
when
to
I
a military
first got married
officer.
all we see is the glamour. So when you go in, you start seeing things that could be a culture shock sometimes. So I had a lot of trauma at the outset, and I felt that a lot of young people go into marriage. I mean, I guess if you marry a pastor, you could have those types of challenges as well. Anybody who's out there, fighting a cause or doing some work that's a cause, and here you are, the wife, you're in the home front, you're supposed to be supporting, but people don't realize that you yourself need support. Everybody's looking at you that you need to support the man. So after we retired in 2016, I felt that I needed to put down my story, just to help other women coming behind, so that they don't go blindly. They know what to expect. At least they have an idea of what to expect.
I mean, you wrote extensively about that, particularly in the introduction, early chapter and all that. How, what you just said now, how you had a different impression
Yes.
before you got married. And a lot of young women who are going to marry or thinking about marrying military officers, they have that kind of mindset that you had at the beginning.
Yes. Yes.
Saw only the glamour and saw the glitz and the... so you were determined to help those who are about to step into that kind of experience.
Yes, that's on the one hand.
Okay.
And of course, on the other hand, there's people who are already in that institution, not only military, in a marriage institution that's challenging. So I was able to capture how I navigated it, how I had to strengthen myself, and my support system that had to come in place. So I discussed a lot about that in the book.
Well, you did stabilize after.
Oh, definitely. Definitely, I did. I did.
You seem absolutely happy.
Oh, definitely.
So that changed over time.
Oh, it did. Of course, maturity also came in. And then when you've been through an experience, you learn from it. And so the next challenge, you're able to face it more. But the most important thing was that I had to strengthen myself as a human being, to be able to kind of rebrand myself so that I could be the military wife I was supposed to be. Yes.
I saw a lot of things here that, being somebody who, I've never been in the military, not close to the military, saw a lot of things here. You wrote extensively about how one of the most difficult experiences for a military wife is the constant postings of the military man.
Yes.
I used to hear about it, but I didn't know it was that serious. So it's a major issue.
It is.
So can you explain that a bit and what you wrote about that here?
So it's so destabilizing because it's such short notice that he has to move. And you're just settling down. I remember when we moved to Lagos. First of all, the military, after a while, the barracks were not, the accommodation in the barracks were not sufficient to house the military. So we had to, when you're posted, you had to wait before you get accommodation. So we were posted to Lagos and we had to stay with family for 9 months.
Wow.
9 months.
Another family.
Another family, my husband's family. So we now eventually got a house, a federal government house, and we were, we had to renovate and everything. It was the week we moved that posting came. I used to weep. I just started weeping. Because the week we moved, my husband got home. I said, guess what?
Where was he posted to?
He was posted to Port Harcourt. Guess what? I said, what? He said, I'm posted. I said, I reject that in Jesus' name. I reject that in Jesus' name. And as you're weeping and rejecting, he's packing. It's like, no feelings. It's like, no emotions.
That's a calling. That's what the calling is about, right?
So no emotions. He's packing, you are weeping. And it destabilizes you. I always say that every posting robs you of your relationship. It does. Because, the Bible says it's not good for a man to be alone. So everybody has a coping mechanism. So you depend on your wife. But if she's not around, your coping mechanism steps in.
Yeah.
So when she now comes around, it's like there's no room for her. You're fighting with that coping mechanism. It could be reading, it could be golfing, it could be tennis, it could be golf. So you're there, and all he's thinking is that I want to go and play golf instead of you want to be with each other. So that happened time and time and
for
time
context's sake, I'm particular about our viewers out there. For context's sake, what you wrote in, can you give an idea of what you wrote in here in terms of the consistency? How frequently are we talking about? And in your own case?
So my husband actually did not have such frequent posting, but he was in Kaduna for up to 20 years of his military career. He went there like 3 different times. So when we moved to Lagos, he was posted to Port Harcourt. We were in Ibadan before, came to Lagos. He went to Port Harcourt. From Port Harcourt, he went to Sudan, which I also reported in the book.
Sudan experience.
As soon as he came back from Sudan, he tried to stay in Lagos a little bit, but he had to go back to Port Harcourt. And from Port Harcourt, he was posted to Kaduna, I think. And then from Kaduna, he came back to Lagos. And then he now went for his Kuru, the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies in Jos, and then he went back to Kaduna, and so
that is the life of the military.
Yes. We wish those postings were.
You wrote about how, for many people, how this was damaging.
Oh, definitely.
Because maybe they didn't manage it properly or something.
Yes.
How serious is that problem?
It is very, very serious.
Within the military?
Very, very serious. Very, very serious. So, women love the military. They just love the uniform. And I give some stories in the book where women will openly be making a pass at my husband beside me, and they don't care if I'm around or not, just because they feel the uniform connotes strength, protection. Every woman wants to be protected, so they love the military. So it damaged a lot because if the man does not have fear of God, and he does not have a wife who can cope, who is resilient, who is mature to look the other way at a lot of things, it damages the home. And of course the children as well.
Yes, I was going to speak about that. You wrote about how children are affected by the constant movements.
Oh, definitely, they are.
Their education, their growth and development.
Yes. It affects, so they need to make new friends, but what most people now do is that after a while, you stop moving with him. The family stays somewhere, which is what most of them do.
Okay.
When you're a bride, you're still moving. But the moment you're starting to have children, you tend to stabilize a bit by staying somewhere. And the guy goes, he comes back. The man goes, he comes back.
What is the most important thing you wrote in here for a military wife to be able to have a good marriage?
Oh, strength of character.
Strength.
Inner strength.
Of character.
Yeah. I had to build up my inner strength because many of we women were very feeble. We're emotional. We break down when things are not going well. We're not able to cope. So I said you needed to be quiet, you needed to be confident, and then you needed to be strong. It also gives the man the confidence that you are there for him. Because you can't easily dispose of somebody that you need. You understand? You keep going back. For example, if I don't hear from my husband for a whole day, I know his day is going well. Because the moment there's something wrong with his day, the first person he picks the phone is to call me. So you have to develop yourself and be in that position where the man, because the job is tough for them. It's very, very tough.
Very tough.
Imagine being in the military, in the war front, and people are dying. The first contingent goes out, they're ambushed, and they all die, and you're there. So there are a lot of, things happening. Promotions are delayed. Everybody's expecting you. You're moving. You don't have your family. So you, as a wife, have to be the support system for him. And if you build up yourself to be that support system, then you'll be indispensable.
Yeah, there are two aspects to your book. There's the inspirational part,
Yes.
And then there is the knowledge acquisition part. Well,
Yes.
that's for me as a reader, reading your book.
Okay.
There's certain parts I classified as, so you explained in details things like the military uniform.
Yes.
And the rankings. The rankings used to confuse me. Yeah, the military uniform,
Yes.
the rankings, military culture and tradition. Can you share a little bit of maybe one or two that stand out that maybe most people see and they don't understand?
Okay.
That you shared in your book.
Okay. So the uniforms, for example, and the rankings are very, very important to the military man. And I went into it without knowing. I told you I didn't even know the difference between a policeman and a military man when I got married. When I met my husband, I was just, so I'll be asking, what's the rank of this person? He'll be explaining to me that, see, there's only one PP, he's a lieutenant, So I had to quickly, because you can't afford to call imagine somebody making a mistake of calling a major general a major. You are shortening it to a major instead of shortening it to a general. That's really sacrilegious. And so
is that bad, eh?
Oh, it's really bad. For example, he was a major when we got married. And he was a major general when he retired. So you can look at the span of 25 years plus,
Somebody's now calling him.
And they're calling him major. You must be joking.
You might sleep in that
You can sleep in
for nights.
So it's very important to be able to recognize the ranks and give them their due respect as a military wife.
Yeah, and you wrote about how it's such a big deal when the military man is
promoted.
Oh,
yes. Definitely.
So how it's such a big deal.
It is.
Within the military family and for the military wife.
But I don't think it's only within the military family. It's every institution that you need to be promoted.
But do all institutions celebrate it like in the military?
Yeah, maybe because you see your level on your body.
Ranking is a big deal.
You see it on your body.
Yeah.
Well, in civil institutions, the MD, you see him, but you can't physically. Everybody can recognize him. But as a military, if you're a general, you can see the X on your PIP.
Well, if you know how to interpret it.
If you know how to interpret it, and then you can also see the rank on your car.
Now, you wrote here that the first challenge you had was a challenge of submission. Because you were a professional, educated, and then got married. And here was a military man who is used to giving orders without explaining why. Without explaining why, and that you struggled a little bit with that.
Oh, I did. I remembered I would say something like, I want to go out. Okay, so where are you going? My friend is getting married. I want to attend the wedding. And he says, no, you can't go. And I say, why? He said, because I said so. I said, no, you can't. It cannot be because you said so. It cannot be because you said so. It has to be a reason. Is it that you want me to do something? And then he'll say, okay, you can continue talking. As far as he's concerned, that conversation has been closed, And that's how they're used to dealing with.
So you had to learn to understand that and be able to cope with it. I'm sure you also had to learn to
softening. I know I had to re-strategize. Not that I really stopped asking, but I had to re-strategize. So when you say you can go, I say, okay, fine. And then I'll revisit it later. I had to learn how to revisit, in the that thing. Are you sure I can't go? Are you sure you don't want me to think about going? But when I say I must go, then the tanks, they roll out the...
It's a matter of who is the general and who is the body major.
They roll out the drums.
If I may use the
tanks, there's World War then. And a lot of that happened in the barracks. So I believe that, to sum it all up, I think it was a good experience. I think I'm a better person for having been a military wife. And if my daughter wants to marry a military man, I'll give it a go ahead.
Oh, wow.
I will give it a go ahead.
Okay.
I'll give it a go ahead.
Oh, wow. That's really great. Thank you so much for this conversation, and very, very interesting.
Thank you so much, Mr.
And good job writing this.
Thank you so
Thanks
much. I hope to be back when I write a sequel.
We're waiting for that eagerly.
All right.
Send a copy to me. Yeah?
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Well done. So I'm sure we can find this maybe on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's also in some bookshops. I'm still trying to, it's not actually a commercial venture, I said.
You wanted it to.
I targeted my audience first. It also there are a lot of inspirational. As a pastor, I put a lot of scripture and everything. So it's not only for the military, it's also for any woman who wants to marry. It's a marriage handbook. So I'm just about to start pushing it out to bookstores. But a lot of people got it from Amazon. And of course, directly, I did a lot of direct purchase too.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on Channels Book Club and for this discussion. Thank you.
It's really my pleasure. Thank you. I'm very, very happy. I watch Channels Book Club, and you were one of my inspirations.
For writing this?
For writing this book. Every time I was I was watching Channels Book Club, I kept telling my husband, I'm going to be at Mr. Kasubu's show. I'm going to finish my book, and I'm going to be at his show. I love books, and I really, really love the work you're doing.
Thank you for your kind
words.
Well
done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
All right. Bye-bye.
So much packed into that book. Trust me, get yourself a copy and dig in. Up next, we were part of a creative writers boot camp recently, and we enjoyed ourselves. Well, I hope you do too as you watch this report.
The third edition of Maritime Rights Project Creative Boot Camp is held in Lagos. The 3-day free creative writing boot camp was aimed at training teenagers and young adults on how to tell maritime stories.
It is an art because it requires certain skills for you to be able to write.
The boot camp commenced with a call for the submission of essays. About 90 entries were received from Lagos and 56 qualified for the training. The participants were taught how to write children's fiction and literary techniques for children writing, amongst others.
It will help us, the young students, to learn how to write very well and to improve our writing skills.
I learned that there are different ways of writing. We have different categories of writing, and I've learned how to put my writing in a better place. I actually wrote a story before. I've written a story and I've also published a story, but through this boot camp, I've been able to learn that the story I published, though it's okay, but I've been able to put it, like when I go home now, I'll be able to do it very well and then put it back in the right track.
For me, I never found interest in maritime, but my first attendance here in this boot camp has been a thing of joy to me, because I feel like I can actually delve into maritime and see how I can function there.
The organizers explained that training writers on how to tell maritime stories will expose Nigerians to job opportunities in the industry and make participants better writers.
If a sector does as much as contribute hugely to the Nigerian economy or to Africa's economy, I think that it's also high time we begin to pay attention to it. One of the things I said earlier is that the industry has over 100 professions in it, yet we're looking for youth empowerment. You understand? It's like we're not meeting the needs, and the opportunities are not meeting. So what we're doing here is actually creating another opportunity. No matter what these children end up to be or the adults are, they can actually begin to say, oh, I could tell the story of the whale in Nigeria. I could tell the story of, and that launches us further. So the industry contributes hugely, and so I think that we should actually begin to look at.
The essence of all this is to ensure that we want to birth the next Chimamandas. You know, want to see the new Achebes, the new Shoyinkas coming from this particular class.
Aimed at promoting maritime literature in Nigeria, the Creative Writing Bootcamp will be held in Ede, Osun State, and in Bonny, Rivers State, later in the year.
This is where we have to end the show. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumu. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.